is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, man, that one hurt. That one really hurt. But you know what? As we always do, we talk about the highs and the lows when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, and about as tough as it gets tonight, going down to the New York Knicks in the NBA Emirates Cup Finals. Welcome into the Spurs POSTCAST right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the #1 sports podcast network in all of the land. He, of course, is NBA champion Devin Brown. My name's Casey Viera. San Antonio tonight going down in Las Vegas, 124-113, in a game that they pretty much had handily, led in control, led by double digits in the second half. It does not work out that way. Instead, they make the trip back from Sin City, my friend, to the Alamo City, and they do it empty-handed.
And I'm Devin Brown. Hey, listen, disappointing, but lots of positives to pick up from this game. Casey, let's get into it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, so the Spurs, of course, were the underdogs coming in this 2.5-point dogs, which is pretty much a pick 'em at that point when it comes to the NBA. And this was a game that they did not look like 2.5-point dogs, because it felt like they were on the precipice of just pulling away and just could not get the knockout blow really through the duration of the first half. They took a 2-point lead into the break. Victor Wembanyama came off the bench again. He checked in a little bit earlier the first quarter, as opposed to when he sat out all of the first quarter against Oklahoma City, and was largely not particularly impactful. It was Fox who led the way at 15. Wemby only 4 points and 4 rebounds, 2 of 6 from the field. They couldn't get away from the Knicks, led by as many as 8, but OG over there, he had 20 in the first half, only up by 2. But then the Spurs, they get things going their way, and you hear so much about the younger legs, the athleticism, and it showed. They were pressuring Brunson, forcing turnovers, getting out in transition, and they actually went up by 11 points midway through the third quarter, back end of the third quarter. But as we've seen a lot with the Spurs, it was the Knicks in this scenario that rode everybody else. Karl-Anthony Towns got banged out, he left, and it was the likes of Tyler Kolek and Jordan Clarkson. San Antonio's own, who cut it down to 5 after 3 quarters of play. Clarkson comes back out of the fourth quarter, hits 2 more threes. OG Anunoby hits another. It's a 13-1 spurt that turns that deficit into a 5-point lead. New York takes off from there, and they get all the big buckets down the stretch when it matters. And the big thing is offensive rebound. We're going to hit on that a little bit more in a second. But a game that San Antonio led for largely the duration of it. Victor, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 7 of 17 from the field, 25 minutes. Dylan Harper, 21 and 7. Fox, 16 and 9. Castle, 15 and 12 assists. It hurts because the Spurs were right there. They were knocking on the door. They had it. They had it in many respects, but it was energy, it was effort, and the difference, and the reason why that there's going to be hanging an Emirates Cup banner in NYC in the coming days.
Well, this talk about a couple of things here. First quarter, and we find out Wemby is going to come off the bench, second straight game doing that. And Spurs still had a 2-point advantage at the end of the first quarter and first half. So whatever that strategy was, it worked. It didn't hurt them, anything like that. Now, let's talk about third quarter and some of the great things that I saw. That was a heavyweight fight right there, blow for blow, bucket for bucket, 3 for 3. 2 for 2, things like that. Got Castle all over the place, putting his body on the line, keeping the ball alive, being able to get the ball to big Wemby. Wemby got hot there, for a little bit. Now let's talk about the fourth, all right? Spurs been having problems with the third quarter. Seem like they're fixing that as we move this thing along, but the fourth quarter collapse. Uncharacteristic. We have a gentleman, called Mr. Fourth Quarter. So you're expecting him to step up along with everybody else, that have been playing well. Casey, it just didn't happen tonight. But here's the thing. we're not going to give up on our Spurs. Now, there
No.
might be 1,500 people at the airport, when they come back, not the 5,000 and the Coyote and the dancers like it was going to be. But there's some positives to pick up here. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But Casey, I like some of the things that I saw with this team because you see the growth happening right in front of us.
Mm-hmm. No, and I mean, from that standpoint, I mean, it's a tremendous positive that they collectively as a whole, the trip was a success.
Right.
It's unfortunate that it ended on a fourth quarter, which they were outscored 35-19. And ultimately the difference, OG Anunoby, the high man, the game high man, as I mentioned, he had 28. Brunson named the Cup MVP, tournament MVP. He had 25 and 8. Clarkson, the Wagner guy, comes back, 15 points. Tyler Kolek, I mean, one of those things with Tyler Kolek, a legacy game. He had 14. What do you do?
Jordan Clarkson, has an impact on the game, and anybody that's on the same list that I am is San Antonio, some San Antonio's finest high school basketball players. I cheer for them, especially the guys that are behind me. You know what I mean? And I don't mean behind as in age. I mean behind as you're this one here, and then however they rank the rest of them is fine with me. But Jordan, he played well tonight. Not familiar with this, because I don't watch the Knicks. I'm Spurs, locked on Spurs. I'm not locked on Knicks, so I wasn't familiar with that floppy-haired fella that was out there. But he's a good player. He's a good player. He does everything that the Knicks need him to do and more. And so, guys like that, Mitchell Robinson, they don't have any slouches on that Knicks team. And, when you play for Coach Brown, you're going to get after it. And Casey, that's what we saw tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned Big Mitch over there. He's needless to say, the guy who, in many respects, kind of decided this thing.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
Usually you talk about the scorers deciding things, Clarkson, but Mitchell Robinson on the glass today. 15 rebounds.
In 18 minutes.
10 offensive rebounds. Spearheading what was a 59-42 rebounding advantage in favor of New York.
Yeah.
56 points in the paint, 32 second chance points.
Can I tell you a secret, Casey?
Tell me a secret.
Mitchell Robinson does what they ask him to do.
Mm-hmm.
If Rudy Gobert could ever have the effort that kid has and realize what it is that Mitchell Robinson brings to them that he could do for the Timberwolves, he'd be a different player. Sorry, go on.
No. I mean, it's not a secret. Mitchell Robinson's been doing this for years. And he's been doing this for years. The only concern is health because he's never been healthy. I mean, we've seen it in the postseason, like 3-4 years ago. You saw it when they played Cleveland and him and Hartenstein when he was in New York just totally took care of Mobley and Allen. You saw it that series. He played well against Joel Embiid a couple years ago. It was a difference maker there. You saw it last year in the series against the Celtics, where he's not only grabbing these offensive rebounds, he's closing out, he's trapping guys in the corner, all these things. It's always been a matter of the health with Mitchell Robinson. And when he's good and when he's healthy, we've talked so much about putting Wemby on that, that Embiid type plan. That's kind of what the Knicks have been doing with Mitchell Robinson and keeping him fresh for these kind of games. But it's working. And I think this kind of pivots back to the guy who's, going to be taking a lot of the criticism for this. Wemby is going to be taking a lot of the criticism for this because that kind of goes what comes with the territory of being a star. Victor got outplayed tonight. Victor did not play well. He got out rebounded, and this is going into the game. He's talking about how the Knicks don't exactly play the most sophisticated style of basketball compared to OKC, compared to Miami. So it was all out there. And He put it all out there on the table. And to go out there and lose in that fashion that he did, that the Spurs did, to struggle the way that they did to contain him, that hurts on the Wemby side of things. If we're taking off the goggles, the Fiesta colored goggles, and we're just being rational here, I mean, this was probably his biggest game as a pro in the NBA.
Yeah.
And the end result was not good, compounded by the fact that he put the bulletin board material out there. It was not a good night for Victor Wembanyama.
All right, let me ask you this. I know he was on a minutes restriction, right? You think he sat too long in that fourth?
Yeah. Yeah.
After the third quarter that he had. And I get it.
Yeah.
He hits his third one, the mid-range. He hit 2 threes. He hits that third one, and I saw Luke Cornett coming to the table, and I was hoping he was going to get Barnes, but he got Wemby, and I go, okay, Mitch, for those, and me and you are those, that criticize Mitch on some of his decision-making, right? We praise everybody, but also we got to be on the other side as well. And that's what you and I are good at. I don't know if you sit him for that long.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about Victor. Like, I get it. Minutes restrictions. And Casey, I meant to, in my new deal here, I meant to put some Advil up there. That's for Victor. If you guys get him over here to the crib, that Advil will help with whatever it is he's sitting these games out with. But anyway, let's get back to the subject. If there is some way that you go, you know what? And you go to him. If I'm Mitch, I go to Victor. And I go, Big Phil, I'm going to extend you. We're in the NBA Cup final. I'm going to extend you a little bit. Victor's not going to say no. He's a competitor. Mm-hmm. So the strategy that they had for the fourth quarter, I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it. You get outscored 35-19. The Knicks, they turned it on. And that's going to be one of the learning points we'll talk about later with San Antonio and where they need to go in order to be that championship team is when the other team puts their foot down, you're right there to meet it. But we'll get into that, Casey.
Yeah, we will. Not the Spurs night in the meantime, though. A 113 defeat in this NBA Cup finals. But collectively as a whole, you turn the focus to the better side of things, and this was a very successful trip for the San Antonio Spurs. So on the other side of the break, we'll focus on the positive because there was a lot that came out of it. And now that we can look past the cup, where do we go from here? We got that on deck and a little bit more coming up on the Spurs postcast right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we do, let's talk to you about some of our friends that help in driving this program. All right, as you know, if you've been hanging out with us by now, NFL Sundays with FanDuel, they move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so very exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, momentum swing, all that good stuff, highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift a little bit. The receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, momentum starts to swing. FanDuel is going to let you jump in on the moment. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. With FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Also want to talk to you tonight about Skims. When they announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about Skims for comfort for many of years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. Same fits, the waistband rolls, a whole lot of settling. The Skims men's, though, that changes that. With one upgrade, it's why everyone's been talking. They're designed to feel good, fit right, actually stay put, no slipping, sagging, or adjusting. Just genuinely great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. Shop Skims men's now at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down to let them know that we sent you. Plus, the holiday shop is open, so if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims, they got you covered. And on the topic of the holidays, you know that's where Wayfair will be taking care of you. Holidays always show up faster than we expect, and if you're still putting together gifts, last-minute decor, getting your home ready, Wayfair's got you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresh, bedding, or whatever it may be to get ready for the holidays, that's where you're going to be going. Get last-minute hosting essentials and gifts for all your loved ones and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Wayfair.com is where you want to go to shop for all things home. WAYFAIR.com with Wayfair. Every style, every home. All right, welcome back into the Spurs postcast right here on Locked on Spurs. San Antonio going down in the NBA Emirates Cup championship tonight, 124-113, a game in which they led by double digits in the third quarter, but just got out-efforted down the end of the stretch, and the Knicks walk away with the third NBA Emirates Cup crown since they introduced it just, 3 years ago. Now we wonder, though, what's next for this Spurs team, because there's a lot of positives that we're going to take out of this, the entire that it got to the final. Because for one, it was not supposed to happen in many respects. Two, they did it without Victor Wembanyama for the most part, at least to get to Las Vegas. Obviously, he came back against Oklahoma City. They beat said Oklahoma City team. They played the best team in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, took them to the wire, should have won that game, but youth got in the way. The veterans stepped up for New York, and that's when the youth, we talked about it a lot, Devin, was, when at times will the fact that they're a young team show?
Yeah.
What got them tonight? You saw the playoff tested teams got it. And for all as good as they've been, as much as we've been hyping them up, as excited that we've been, tonight was a learning moment. But I think it's one that you take a lot out of going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, so that's what it is. When it comes playoff time, and obviously they're at a neutral site. Here's the thing, Casey. When that other team gets going, meaning offensively, moving the ball, playing the way they want to be, all right, because the Knicks did a great job of getting there to the final, just like the Spurs did. So when you take their best shot, right, we saw it in Denver, we saw it in LA, saw it OKC. The Spurs withstood all of that. So we can take positives from that, right? That was the West. Well, now this is the East. The East plays it always plays a little bit differently than the West does. All right. So what we can learn from that is that if San Antonio can continue on the way that they're going with this roster and the team that they have, we're looking at some very positive things. Hey, what happened tonight? Fourth quarter collapse. They hadn't really done that much this year. It's something that you can learn from, but at the same time, really like where this team is going. All right. Like I said, Casey, it might not be 10,000 people at that airport tonight, but they'll be good with 1,500.
They'll take it. And I think collectively, we all kind of agreed that regardless of what happened here, the Spurs were going to be playing with house money, the fact that they got this far. You want to get greedy. You want to take the whole thing. Understandably so. As a fan, you want to see them take the whole thing. But if you separate yourself from it and just kind of look at what it is, what they're doing, what they've overcome, where they're at in the conference, what we've learned about them, where they stack up in the conference, you're happy about it, in my opinion. You're happy because you're learning a lot about what they have outside of Victor. And what they have outside of Victor, which has always been the question mark, is been exactly that. It's been a question mark. It's been a roller coaster thing. We've never really felt overly confident in the cast up to this point. And now that he's back, now that he's going to get further back into the equation, he's healthy, that's something we're going to focus on a little bit forward. How does this all come together now? Because it came together versus Oklahoma City. And for the most part tonight, it looked together too. Yeah. It just didn't play out that way. And I think at the end of the day, though, you're feeling happy about what it was, and you're feeling, at least I am, and I can sense that you do too. You're feeling confident going forward into the last, I guess, 50 plus games of the season.
When the Knicks, hey, looking forward, hey, there's gonna be some interesting games coming up. They got about 3 games coming up that they should be able to get if they're right. If there's no hangover from this, but Mitch gets these guys prepared to play, so I'm not worried about that. Here's the deal. You're down a little bit. The Spurs are fighting. Third quarter was awesome. Toe to toe. You got heavyweights going at each other, things like that. Here's the thing. That charge that they called on Luke Cornett was a big play without it being a big play. Because the Spurs had been struggling from the field, and they finally get a 3 to go in, and they call that. That's why Mitch erupted, got that technical. Because when you see your team out there battling, and it's toe-to-toe with somebody like that, and the refs. Loving them to death. And please, I still got a coach, Casey. Love them to death.
And remember, we have sponsors too. We have sponsors too. Be careful where you're going with it.
Yeah, no, but you can't step in. That's why Mitch got so angry. Not right now. Not with all this on the line. You see what I'm saying? That was a tough basketball call at that time.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, I something I always hate with officiating. You get the calls wrong, it happens. It's fine. You're natural. You get the call wrong. When you get the call wrong and then you exacerbate it because the other coach is ticked off that you got the call wrong, and then give the player a tech, just let him go. You don't compound the problem with doing that. And then what made that even worse was that they got it on camera. They went back and they looked and they saw that they got it wrong. I guess they must have given him the tech before they looked at it, which is even dumber that they did that. But no, I mean, that was a big.
Well, I like what Coach Van Gundy said. If they do get it wrong, then take the tech back. I mean, that's easy.
Yeah.
Because he only said that to you because he was talking about the call.
Yeah.
As long as you're talking about the call and you don't get personal. I've played for a coach that got personal.
I wonder who.
Yeah. Oh, Coach Ray Carroll. I'm just kidding.
There you go. In the spirit of talking San Antonio hoops, there you go, right? There's actually two Wagner guys on that team. Clarkson and Kevin McCullough Jr. is on the back end of that Knicks bench too, also of Wagner High School. So there you go.
Hey, that's very rare. Hey, I'd have taken one of my second West Campus brothers with the Spurs.
Whatever works, man.
Hey, somehow, Casey, they blame me because they said I didn't pass the ball. And if you look at my 3-year career at West Campus, I had 7 assists in 3 years. That's a lot.
3 years.
Yeah. That's a lot, Casey.
Listen, man, it sent you to school, right? Sent you to school, sent you in the league.
UTSA.
Hey, and listen. I think Jordan Clarkson has probably had 7 assists in the past 2 seasons. Sent him to school, sent him to the league too.
Hey,
very well.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, first of all, he played for a legendary coach in Cliff Ellis. All right, known that guy. Played a lot of pickup basketball with that guy. Cliff's done a great job. And one of the greatest things he ever told me about Jordan was Jordan would always want Coach there at 5:45 in the morning. And Coach is like, man, Jordan wants to be there. I'll be there. That's what's led to this for you young players out there.
15 points tonight. I don't have him down as the player of the game, but we usually let Devin decide these things. So give you a second to think about it, who you got tonight.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
What you got, my friend?
All right, so I'm going to go. It's going to be 2 of them.
Okay.
I'm going to go Mike Brown. All right, this is unusual. I'm going to go Mike Brown, and I'm going to go Mitchell Robinson for his fourth quarter. I'm going to go Mike Brown because he went to him more than he did Cat in that fourth quarter. Mitchell Robinson played excellent. 15 rebounds in 18 minutes. I give it off to that young man. He found his niche in the league, and he's going to play for a long time. Like you said, Casey, as long as he stays healthy.
You look at, I feel like something that wasn't talked about a lot on the Mike Brown side of things. I think Knicks fans, obviously winners out of this. Spurs fans, winners out of this. There's one fan base that are infinite losers out of this watching tonight. Do you have any guess where I'm about to go?
No.
Sacramento. Because if Sacramento does not fire Mike Brown, tonight doesn't happen. De'Aaron Fox is still in Sacramento. Mike Brown still in Sacramento. Perhaps Tom Thibodeau and his hard-headed ways are still coaching the Knicks, if not somebody else. But as a result, here we are. That one decision, that butterfly effect. And here we are talking about an Emirates Cup championship between the Spurs and the Knicks, spearheaded by Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure anybody that works for Sacramento did not watch the game, Casey.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, the Kings got a lot bigger things to worry about. And as you like to say, we don't get into their problems.
We don't get into that.
We don't even yeah. Anyways, always a problem when we get together. We're going to do more of that again tomorrow. We got our Spurs squad show coming back. Obviously, a lot to hit on, a lot of fun that we're going to have. Jeff Garcia bringing things back together. And he, of course, is going to have more with the title pod in the morning, talking about the night that it was. Good night, fun night. Didn't go the Spurs way. But listen, things are heading in the right direction. And remember, that loss does not count on the Spurs record. So they're still 18-7 on the season. That's the one perk about losing this game. Yeah, it sucks to lose, but it's not a blemish on the resume. You're still right in the thick of things. They don't lose any ground there. Yep. As neither do we. We'll be back again on the squad show, but the Spurs back in action Thursday, finally coming back home. Finally. They kind of got the raw end of the deal of making the cut, because now the Wizards game, which was scheduled for Wednesdays, back to Thursday, then they go to Atlanta and then to Washington, a stretch where they play it back-to-back in 3 and 4 nights. All those games, we'll be right there along with it, breaking things down on the Spurs postcast right here on Lockdown Spurs. And as always, we show you guys love, for better or worse, how the night goes. Tonight, obviously not going the Spurs way, but still, you're not afraid to turn out, have fun with us, give us what's on your mind. We enjoy it. Keep coming back, regardless how things go for your San Antonio Spurs. Hopefully they go better next time when we talk to you after the Washington game next week. But until then, we'll call it a Tuesday night. For NBA champion Devin Brown, my name is Casey Viera. Spurs, they go down swinging in the NBA Emirates Cup, but the Knicks going to be the ones taking the title back to MSG.